Sheila Spencer, and I have some inspiration that is custom made for you. And my invitation to you is to take the leap and let go. Maya Angelou says, I leap and I look back just long enough to gather strength, and then I face forward and I take another step. Take the leap and let go. Let me tell you my story. I was so excited. It was several years ago. I was preparing to mark something off of my bucket list. And when I was done, there would be a check next to skydiving. Now, I didn't tell many people that I was doing it for 3 reasons. 1, it's not what they expected. 2, they would think I was crazy. And 3, they would try to talk me out of it. I'll get back to that later. So I remember as my friends and I were training and we were preparing for the skydiving experience, we were going through an orientation. And I remember our trainer asked if we had any questions. And my first question was, what's the scariest part about jumping out of a plane? Yes, I literally asked that. And I remember my friend saying, you know that you answered your question with your question. What's the scariest part about jumping out of a plane? Jumping out of a plane. But I remember after we laughed about my question, she thought and she said, I don't know if it's scary, but what I will ask you to do is pay attention to what happens to you right before you let go. Pay attention to what happens to you right before you let go. And I kept that in mind as we got into the small plane attached to our instructors, and 5,000 feet in the air, 10,000 feet in the air, 15,000 feet in the air, then almost 20,000 feet in the air. And I remember as we were preparing to leap, my instructor said, Sheila, you need to be still for a few seconds. Now, let me give you a visual. Half of my body is seated in the known comfort of the plane, and the other half of me, my legs are literally out there in the vast unknown sky. Half of me is in the comfort of the plane, and the other half of me is in the vast, uncomfortable zone of this vast sky. And I remember him telling me, you have to be still. And I'm telling you, it was just for a few seconds, but it felt like forever. My body was literally screaming out loud, and my body said, Sheila Patrice Spencer. Yes, my body said my whole name. You have to make a decision. Either you fall back in the comfort of this plane or you take a leap. But I was not meant to be confined between the comfort of the known and the discomfort of being outside of the comfort zone. I can't be stuck between 2 places. I was not created to do this. And my body was literally screaming, I don't care what you do, but you need to make a decision, because you can't stand in this in between comfort and discomfort. And I remember at that moment when I thought I couldn't take it any longer, my instructor said, Sheila, are you ready to leave? And I absolutely was not ready to leave. I was terrified. Everything in me said, just fall back in the comfort of the plane and take the ride down. But despite the fact that I was terrified, despite the fact that I had no idea what was in the other side of my leap, I said, let's do this. And I leaped. At first, I could hear my instructor say as I catapulted out of the plane, Sheila, let go of your straps so you can enjoy the experience. And I took a deep breath and I let go. And it was amazing. I know how eagles feel when they soar through the air. I saw the world in a beautiful new viewpoint, a wonderful perspective, and it was amazing. It was amazing. And I could say through the air to my instructor, I am really doing this. This is amazing. It was amazing. And I landed on the ground. And I realized I could have stayed in the plane and landed on the ground, but I would have missed the joy of the journey of taking the leap. And as I reflected on that experience, I learned 3 very valuable lessons that I want to share with you when it comes to taking the leap. Number 1, taking the leap takes courage, but that doesn't mean you don't do it afraid. Taking the leap takes courage, but it doesn't mean that you don't do it afraid. I've learned that courage is not defined by doing something without fear. Courage is defined as doing it even though your voice shakes, even though you're afraid. Courage is when we push through the fear. So even though I eventually did take that leap, I was completely terrified, but the risk was worth the reward. It takes courage to do the things that we need to do to step out of our comfort zone. It takes courage to shift the new. It takes courage to embrace the unknown and to walk into the new. I remember someone saying, if your vision doesn't scare you a little bit, it's not big enough for you. One of the things that we learned about letting go, taking courage, but it doesn't mean that we don't do it afraid, was this past few years with the pandemic, when people experiencing quarantine and all the shifts that we experienced all over the world. One of the great phenomenons that happened was the Great Resignation. The Great Resignation was when people, millions of people all across the world, resigned from their jobs because they reached a point where they realized that, am I doing something that fits my life journey? Am I doing something that fits with what I've been called to do? We know that there are so many people that took the courageous step to step out of a comfortable job, to step out of a setting that they thought they would be in forever, but they knew that they had to take that step, that courageous step. So letting go takes courage, but it doesn't mean that we don't do it afraid. Embrace the fear. It means that we're human. Letting go takes courage, but it doesn't mean you don't do it afraid. Number 2, letting go releases you from your expectations. I need to make a confession right now. My name is Sheila Spencer, and I'm a planner. I plan everything. I do the 2-year plan, the 5-year plan, the 10-year plan. I'm a planner. My name is Planner. My name is Sheila P. Spencer, and the P does stand for planner. One of the things I learned that often as planners, we have milestones and expectations when we will reach certain goals. I will graduate by this year. I'll purchase my house by this year. I will marry by this year. I'll have a family by this year. I'll have this property by this year. Well, what I've learned as we go through life and we reach these milestones, and we remember that we don't always reach the milestones when we plan. And sometimes I've learned that some of the greatest rewards in life come when I embrace the fact that the life that I've scheduled isn't always the life that's been planned for me. When we release ourselves from expectations from others and from ourselves, we liberate ourselves from the own prison that we may have with preset expectations. One of the things I've learned is that when we release our own expectations and are open to new possibilities, and if we're open to releasing ourselves from our own self-imposed prisons, we can be free. So letting go releases you from expectations. 3, letting go opens up the door to new possibilities. Once I realize that I can do this afraid, once I realize I can be released from expectations, letting go opens up to so many possibilities. When I took the leap off of that plane, I saw the world in an entire new perspective. It shifted my mindset, even from the moment that I landed on the ground, the way that I view things, the way that I see things. And the thing that I remember is that when I landed, there were people that were waiting for me. When you take the opportunity to let go, when you take the opportunity to take the leap, whether it's writing that book, starting that business, buying that property, starting that relationship, taking that chance, when you do that, when you use your gifts and your talents that were uniquely created just for you. I love how the Maya Angelou quote says that when you were born, there was a storehouse of treasures that were created just for you. When you use your storehouse of gifts and talents and abilities, and you use them to be a blessing to the world, there are people that are waiting on the other side of your leap. There are people that are waiting for your gifts. There are people waiting to read your book, to benefit from your business, to receive your coaching, to receive your wisdom. There are people that are waiting on the other side of your leap. And taking that leap will open you up to those possibilities. So this is what I want you always to remember. Take the leap. Take the leap and let go. We were not confined. We were not designed. We are not designed to be confined, living in this paralytic state of being stuck in the comfort and the discomfort. We were designed to take the leap and make the decision. One of my favorite quotes from Anais Nin says that the day that the bud remembered that it was more painful when the risk of remaining a bud, remaining closed, was more painful than the risk that it took to blossom. Take the leap and blossom. Take the leap. And one of the things that I also remembered is, even as I was taking my leap, just as I was about to take the leap, my instructor said, Sheila, I want you to know, you may not always hear me and you may not see me, but I want you to know that as you leap, you are not alone. I am attached to you. This reminds me of my faith. This reminds me that we are community, that we have our faith in our community that is attached to us, and we do not do things alone. So take the leap and let go. And you don't necessarily have to get into a plane and leap out of one, but there are so many things that are just as courageous, if not more. Take the leap and let go. Letting go takes courage, but it doesn't mean you don't do it afraid. Letting go releases you from expectations, and letting go opens you up to new possibilities. Because guess what? There are people waiting on the other side of your leap. And once you take the leap, I promise you, it is amazing. And so are you. Take the leap and let go.